Supreme Personality of Godhead is seated in everyone's heart, and that everyone is existing on him because he is the super soul of everyone. Purport by his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The he is Kardama Muni. Okay. And it says, text 46. He began to see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is seated in everyone's heart and that everyone is existing on him because he is the super soul of everyone. Purport by his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. That everyone is existing on the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not mean that everyone is also Godhead. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. Everything is resting on him, the Supreme Lord, but that does not mean that the Supreme Lord is also everywhere. This mysterious position has to be understood by highly advanced devotees. There are three kinds of devotees: the neophyte devotee, the intermediate devotee, and the advanced devotee. The neophyte devotee does not understand the techniques of devotional science, but simply offers devotional service to the deity in the temple. The intermediate devotee understands who God is, who is a devotee, who is a non-devotee, and who is innocent. And he deals with such persons differently. But a person who sees that the Lord is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and that everything is depending or existing on the transcendental energy of the Supreme Lord, is in the highest devotional position. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Well, this is all depends on how people see things. And if they have a limited way of seeing things, or let's say, more advanced way of seeing things, or the most advanced way of seeing things. That's why it says here that there are three kinds of devotees: the neophyte devotee, the intermediate devotee, and the advanced devotee. The neophyte devotee does not understand the techniques of devotional service, but simply offers devotional service to the deity in the temple. The intermediate devotee understands who God is, who is a devotee, who is a non-devotee, and who is innocent. And he deals with such persons differently. But a person who sees that the Lord is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and that everything is depending or existing on the transcendental energy of the Supreme Lord, is in the highest devotional position. Yeah, but this requires knowledge, and that knowledge is acquired by associating with advanced devotees and regularly chanting your rounds, and also regularly hearing shastras, like we're doing every day. We're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the morning and Bhagavad Gita in the evening. So then we are getting educated, and then we can understand what's called the techniques of devotional science. That means that Krishna is in the heart of every living entity. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore we should always be engaged in offering service with love and devotion to the Lord. And here it says, The neophyte devotee does not understand the techniques of devotional service, but simply offers devotional service to the deity in the temple. However, when someone can understand that the deity in the temple is also in the heart of every living entity, then they come up to a higher level of Krishna consciousness. That's why it says the intermediate devotee understands who God is, who is a devotee, who is a non devotee, and who is innocent. And he deals with such persons differently. Well, who God is, the devotee worships God. Who is a devotee? The devotee gives respect to the other devotee. Who is a non devotee? The devotee more or less avoids association with non devotees. And who is innocent? Those are people who are ready to become devotees if they get association with the right persons who are devotees. And he deals with such persons differently. Okay. Why? Because he doesn't want to waste his time. So he knows how to deal with those different levels of people's, let's say, understanding. So the neophyte is more interested in offering devotional service to the deity in the temple. The intermediate devotee understands who is God, who is a devotee, who is a non devotee, and who is innocent. And he deals with such persons differently. Yes. So, who is God? He worships God. Who's a devotee? He associates with the devotee. Who is a non devotee? He avoids his association. And who is innocent? He tries to help the innocent person understand who is Krishna. And he deals with such persons differently. But a person who sees that the Lord is sitting in as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and that everything is depending or existing on the transcendental energy of the Supreme Lord, is in the highest devotional position. Yeah, that means that you can see the presence of Krishna in the heart of even the demon, and even in the ignorant person. So he's not prejudiced. Let's put it like that. He gives everybody a chance that he meets the opportunity to become Krishna conscious. And then then it says here that, but a person who sees that the Lord is sitting in as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and that everything is depending or existing on the transcendental energy of the Supreme Lord, is in the highest devotional position. Yeah, because he is not what you would call uh, myopic. Myopic mean you want to look that up. Myopic. Mm-hmm. It means that you only see things close to you. You don't see things in far distance. I think that's what it means. That means in another way, he only sees uh, he sees more or less imperfectly. Doesn't see that everyone has Krishna in the heart. That's Paramatma. So therefore, he gives everyone a chance to become Krishna conscious. But some people who are myopic, they'll think, well, these people are so fallen. I'm not going to waste my time with them. I'll just stick with my small group of devotees and just preach to them. Well, Prabhupada came to the United States from India, and he tried to help everybody become Krishna conscious. And many people accepted. There were people that didn't accept.
Yes, first of all, myopic is refers to a condition where someone has difficulty seeing things that are far away, a medical term for nearsightedness. It can also be used metaphorically to describe a person or a perspective that is narrowly focused or lacking long-term vision.
Yes. Someone like Prabhupada came to the United States, and he uh, he was not myopic. He could understand that, yeah, there's so much sense gratification, and people, almost everybody was living in the modes of ignorance. But he gave them a chance to be Krishna conscious simply by chanting Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada sat down in Tompkins Square and began to chant Hare Krishna and play his cartels. And it attracted some young people, or some people, and they began to dance and chant also. And that was the beginning of Krishna consciousness. In other words, what did Prabhupada do? He simply sat down, and not only sitting down, he also got up and danced and chanted Hare Krishna. And other people also danced and chanted Hare Krishna. And eventually they became devotees. And the movement started like that, by chanting and dancing. And then taking some prasadam. Of course, in the beginning, he didn't have a lot of money, so he just cut an apple in 5 or 6 pieces and gave it out as prasadam. And he also spoke about Bhagavad Gita. But the main thing was the chanting. Okay, so in this purport, it says the neophyte devotee does not understand the techniques of devotional service, but simply offers devotional service to the deity in the temple. The intermediate devotee understands who God is, who is a devotee, who is a non devotee, and who is innocent. And he deals with such persons differently. Yes. So God, he worships God, and he bows down to God. Who is a devotee, he treats the devotee with respect. Who is a non devotee, he avoids the association of non devotees. And who is innocent, he tries to help the innocent persons become Krishna conscious. Okay. However, a person who sees that the Lord is sitting in as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and that everything is depending or existing on the transcendental energy of the Supreme Lord, is in the highest devotional position. So they are. You have the Madhyama Adhikari, then you have the what you would call the Uttama Adhikari. So the Madhyama Adhikari is a really good preacher. The Uttama Adhikari, uh, he just he sees everyone on an equal level. So it doesn't mean that he's in the best position for preaching, because he sees everyone as a devotee. But the Madhyama Adhikari, because he can differentiate uh, who is a devotee, uh, who is not a devotee, who is innocent, and so forth. So he can become a preacher, and a good preacher. So it all depends on the level of realization that a devotee has. Okay, so let's go to text 47, where it says, freed from all hatred and desire, Kardama Muni being equal to everyone because of discharging uncontaminated devotional service, ultimately attained the path back to Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, only by devotional service one can understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. And after understanding him, meaning the Supreme Lord, perfectly in his transcendental position, enter into the kingdom of God. The process of entering into the kingdom of God is Tripada Bhuti Gati, or the path back home, back to Godhead, by which one can attain the ultimate goal of life. Gardama Muni, by his perfect devotional knowledge and service, achieved this ultimate goal, which is known as Bhagavat Gati. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Renunciation of Kardama Muni. Well, yeah, Kardama Muni was freed from hatred and desire. That's renunciation. Uh, uh, and being equal to everyone. That's another major quality of a devotee. He's equal to everyone. He doesn't have any prejudices. He sees that everyone is ultimately, uh, you know, everyone has Krishna in his heart. So there's an opportunity for everyone, or there's a potential for everyone to become a devotee. However, he also is practical, so he'll avoid the association of demons. He will associate with advanced devotees. He will make friends with devotees on his level, and he will avoid the association of demoniac people. So that is Madhyama Adhikari. So he's in the position of being a really, let's say, effective preacher. The Uttama Adhikari sees everyone as a devotee, so he can't really preach effectively. Uh, of course, he's in a very transcendental position. But Madhyama Adhikari is a preacher. And then the neophyte devotee, well, neophyte devotee doesn't really understand doesn't understand who is a devotee, who's not a devotee, etc. But he can still make devotional service by following the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Renunciation of Kardama Muni. Hari Bol. Are there any questions before we start chapter 25, entitled The Glories of Devotional Service? Are there any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is Pradyumna Das.
Haribol. Haribol Prabhu.
Yeah. So, Maharaj, we say that the devotee, which is seeing everyone at the same level, right? But in practical life, um, it's very hard for someone to do that. Even so, is it fair to just, are we talking in context to the only person, the devotee himself, and at the individual level, or in the general public? My sense is like if something happening bad in all over the world, so is devotee thinking that same thing? I mean, both all our Krishnas is everywhere, and this is, and he's seeing equally to all, even if there is a so much distress or around the world.
Well, first of all, you're not if I heard you properly, if I didn't hear you properly, you can correct me. But you don't, a devotee who's Madhyama Adhikari, he doesn't see everybody equally. He can differentiate who is a devotee, who is not a devotee, who is innocent, and who is a demon. So he doesn't try to preach to everyone. He tries to teach to those who are innocent because they're ignorant, and he makes friends with devotees. He avoids the association with demons, and like that, he differentiates the person who's a on the highest level of devotional service. He sees everybody as devotees, but that's not really good for preaching. And the neophyte devotee, well, he doesn't understand who is a devotee, who's not devotee. He's mixed up. But the Madhyama Adhikari, he sees four things. He sees who is God, and he surrenders to Krishna, Supreme Personality Godhead, and worships him. He sees who is innocent, meaning they're not demoniac, they're just ignorant. When it says innocent, it means he's ignorant. And then he sees who's a devotee, and he makes friends with the devotee, and is respectful to the devotee. And then he sees who are ignorant. So they're not exactly demons, they're just ignorant. So he tries to preach to them and help them become Krishna conscious. So that is a Madhyama Adhikari. And he's in the right position for preaching. The highest level of a devotee, what do you call it? Anyway, he's not exactly a good preacher because he sees everybody equally, and he doesn't make these differentiations. So he's not if it's going to be not going to be as effective a preacher as the Madhyama Adhikari. He's a Uttama Adhikari, so he sees everyone as devotees. Uh, Now, it means he's a very good person, on a very high level, but you have to be able to make differentiations when you're a preacher. Otherwise, you can end up preaching to someone who's absolutely not at all interested in Krishna consciousness and waste your time. Now, as devotees, we try and help everyone become Krishna conscious. But the Madhyama Adhikari can see differences. Who is God? Who is not a devotee? Who is a devotee? And who is just innocent or ignorant? He makes those four differentiations. And the what do you call it? The person who is on the lowest level of a devotee. So you have, Uttama uh, devotee, and you have Madhyama devotee, and then you have the uh, neophyte devotee. He can't really understand things very, very well, and therefore he can make a lot of mistakes in his life. That's why he has to associate with more advanced devotees to be able to get educated and become more effective in his preaching, and also learn to control his senses. Okay, so uh, there's a uh, so you have the neophyte devotee, you have Madhyama devotee, or someone in the middle uh, stage of advancement, and you have the Uttama devotee, who's on the highest level of Krishna consciousness. So the Madhyama Adhikari is the one who's actually a good preacher. And the neophyte devotee, well, is not in a position to be an effective preacher. And it's all based also on how much faith a person has. So one has of course, the person on the highest level of Krishna consciousness, complete faith, and the person who's like in the middle, the Madhyama Adhikari, he's got good, he has faith, uh, and the neophyte devotee has a little bit of faith. It's not really strong. So uh, there are different levels of Krishna consciousness based on how much faith the person has in Krishna consciousness. But to be an effective preacher, the best position is to be a Madhyama Adhikari. You're not on the lowest level, you're not on the highest level, but you can at least see four things. Who is God? Who is a demon? Who is innocent, meaning ignorant, and who is a devotee? So that that person is the most is in the best position for preaching to others. So as far as the non-devotees go or demons, he avoids their association. Who is ignorant, he tries to preach to them. Who is a devotee, he makes friends with them. Who is on the highest level of devotional service, he offers all respect and uh, basically surrenders to them. You know? So, okay. Are there any questions?
No, so thank you, Maharaj. So I understand the neophyte and Madhyam Adhikari. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very clear. But I'm little still confused about the Uttam Adhikari. Does the dharma adharma play any role in this? Because if even if you are Uttam, so for example, if Mahatma Gandhi's example, if I have to talk to specifically, he thinks that he's the Mahatma, means he's treating everybody same. Doesn't matter what, and he did so many blunders doing that by treating everybody same at the same level. So people like at the higher level, if they really give importance to the dharma adharma, also we somebody is doing adharma and dharma, still they think them as the same, or they differentiate that people.
All right. So, why did you bring uh, uh, Mahatma Gandhi into this uh,
uh,
question?
because I just give example because the Uttam Adhikari, as we are saying that he sees everybody, Krishna is in everybody's heart and he treats everyone equally. So even the dharma, some people are doing dharma and some people are doing adharma, but does it mean that he's still treating them equally? And even Karwa Pandava's example also, does Krishna treat both equally?
Krishna is equal to everyone, but he is uh, more prone to devotees than to non-devotees. So that's not a that's not a double talk. It's just a fact that let's say uh, there's a house on fire and uh, the father of one of the children that's in the house, burning house, when he runs into the house, who does he look for first? His child or the children of others? Obviously, he looks first for his child. And when he brings his child out of the fire to safety, then he might run in a second time to save the other kids. So it's only normal that Krishna is equal to everyone, but he gives special attention to his devotees. You see, it's just normal. That doesn't mean he'll ignore everyone else, but it means that his uh, first uh, preoccupation is the devotee, and because the devotee is completely surrendered to the Lord, and then he'll also help others. Uh, so, what is your question then exactly?
Um, no, my question is as a Mahatma, sorry, as a um,
Pure devotee.
Uttam Adhikari or pure devotee, right?
Come on, yeah.
Yeah. So he sees everybody, sorry, Krishna in everybody's heart, and he treats everybody. Doesn't matter if somebody is hating him. So hating or somebody is bad people or good people. He doesn't differentiate good and bad.
Yeah, but he's not a good preacher though, because he sees everyone as a devotee. Let me give you an example. Let's say there's an ashram, and in the ashram, devotees go out and preach every day. And if someone is seeing everyone as a devotee, they could invite, let's say, a criminal into the ashram and give him a place to stay and sleep next to the other devotees. Uh, that would not be a good idea because he doesn't differentiate. To be a good preacher, you would have to differentiate. So instead of bringing a criminal into the temple and giving him a place to sleep and prasadam and everything, and it's dangerous to do that. So the criminal is not ready to live in an ashram right away.
Does that mean, Maharaj, the Uttamadhikaris try to stay away from the kind of the worldly activities altogether because, let's say, they're not a leader, they're not, because the leader has to in order to lead. Similarly, they cannot be preacher. I mean, does that mean like these are the people they are like Bhajananandis? They just kind of not try to deal with the worldly activities at all. But they, I mean, when people come to them, they'll see them equally, and then they do their best to inspire them to be devotees or whatever, or just by their actions they will inspire them. I think that's the question probably Prabhuji is trying to understand is like what are the activities of in a worldly setting? What are the activities of a Uttamadhikari?
Uttamadhikari sees everyone as a devotee and is equal to everyone. But that's not a good thing if you want to be an effective preacher. And
I think his question is not even preacher. Let's say, I think he's seeing, for example, some people wars happen. Now, do Uttamadhikaris explain? I mean, they don't have to take sides, but do they see the view that okay, somebody is an aggressor, somebody is not basically the right versus wrong? Do they have that kind of view at all, or they just not even see it that way?
Uttamadhikari is in on top position of Krishna consciousness. So he doesn't discriminate. This one is bad. This one is not so bad. This one is good. He sees everyone equally. So that's in one sense good. But if you want to be an effective preacher, it's not good. Because, like, for example, you have this house, right? So if I go out and I preach and I start bringing in, you know, uh, homeless people to your house, you wouldn't be very happy, right? Because you would say, well, wait a minute, I don't want a person like this in the house, I'm not an Uttama Adhikari.
Yeah, I think that's what I think the answer. Uttamadhikari is so compassionate, every living entity, no matter what their state of being is, he is fully compassionate to such a person. So as a result, they would
There
do
is,
this. They would do it. Like Prabhupada went to the Bowery of New York, and he would have probably not had the best experience for the first few years. Even then, he was like so compassionate to give everybody a chance. We are not there.
Yeah, we're not there. But even Prabhupada, he was living for a little bit with a person who was taking LSD. And then one night when that person took LSD, he tried to kill Prabhupada, right? So Prabhupada ran away, and he knew a few people, and one of them was Mukunda Prabhu, and he knocked on his door and said, "Look, this person I'm staying with is trying to stab me with a knife. Can I stay in your house?" You know, so uh, you have to be able, as an effective preacher, you have to be able to discriminate who is a pure devotee, who is innocent, who is a demon, and who is just ignorant, right? So, uh, without making those differentiations, you can't, you don't, you're not actually going to be a good preacher, and you're not going to be able to really make devotees. Uh, and like I said, you know, if I preach to someone on the street in Seattle and I invite them to your house, that wouldn't be a good idea because, you know, I can say, well, you know, you have to be equal to everyone. Okay, yeah, but not in my house. So there has to be some discrimination. And also, you know, if you meet someone on the street and then you invite them to the temple, and then right away you say, well, you can sleep here tonight. It's okay. Uh, but then he goes, you know, he gets into the uh, ashram and he sleeps next to someone, and that someone is a regular devotee who's following all the rules and regulations. All of a sudden now he's sleeping next to someone who hasn't been vetted at all, and it just comes right off the street, and he has to sleep next to him. So that would put it, you know, it's not fair to do that. That person could be a robber, it could be a murderer. So previously, when I was, you know, a uh, you know, managing, every time people wanted to come and stay in the temple, I would sit down with them and ask them, you know, where did you come from? Uh, and what were you doing? And have you ever been, you know, in jail? And I had to ask all these questions, you know. So, yeah, one time a man came and said, I want to live in a temple. And I used to be, you know, living with devotees. So I said, well, where was that? And he gave a address of some place that was, you know, a little bit far away. So I said, well, uh, you just wait a minute. So I went, I got a phone, right? And I called the previous temple that he mentioned, you know, I said, you know this person? And they said, yes. I said, well, he wants to stay in our temple. Well, what do you think? He said, don't let him stay in the temple. I said, he said, you know, when he was with us, he acted really good, but then he stole things and he left. And if he's coming into your temple, you have to understand he's a thief. Don't let him in.
Time check with you.
Okay. So you have to vet people. You just can't let them come into the temple right away.
I mean, this will probably extend, but since we have time, but I guess if Uttamadikar is completely devoted to the Lord, and the Lord's goal in the material world is the establishment of dharma, because that's what, you know, he comes to establish dharma.
Yeah, but
And
you can help a person become educated in Dharma outside of the temple. You don't
yeah,
you don't have to let them
that
come
is
in
also
right
dharma.
away. Yeah.
Dharma means like doing the right thing.
Right.
You can't somebody just because you're compassionate, you still have to be compassionate to other person. So, for example, by bringing a homeless person into a temple who's probably harmful, you are going to hurt somebody else.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is also not right, because
Yes.
you have to do the right thing
Exactly.
to be compassionate to everybody. I mean, you can help this person in a way that is appropriate for him, but you can't treat them. This is like the kind of the leftists trying to make everything equal on the bodily platform.
You have to be careful, I mean, look, the people outside, they see, well, I can go to Hare Krishna's temple and I get food and they treat me nicely, and but that person could be a murderer. They could be a person who's just a loafer, So I would never let people right away into the temple. I said, well, you keep coming and we'll see.
Yeah, read them before.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have to, Mataji, because Maharaj has a doctor appointment. If you don't mind keeping your question,
No, no,
or you can.
it was not a comment. I just wanted to say that's why Guru Maharaj has always asks us to give good luck card only to very few people on the streets and food truck card to everyone, whether they are homeless or anyone, because we should not invite unnecessary, unscrupulous elements to the temple. That's why we don't give good luck cards to everybody. But we have food truck card. Thank you so much, bro.
Oh, thank you, Mataji. So we'll have to end today's session. We'll be late.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. This was a good conversation.